Oh, I don't need to worry about what I look like. Oh, I'm live. Hi, everybody. Sorry we're late. As you can see, my camera's off because my internet is so bad, and I'm trying to figure it out as we go along. But anyway, welcome to another episode of the Heliand. Jeremy is frantically scanning some pages so that
Right.
and he's probably going to be the man on the camera tonight because I think I'm just not able to do this.
You're the voice from the darkness. It's okay.
Yeah. At least I don't have like a 10-15 second lag. I had to cancel the On Fairy Stories because of this. But just so everyone knows, oh, look, suddenly I have perfect Wi-Fi, but I'm afraid to turn my camera. No, I don't. It's jumping around. I ordered Starlink and it should be here. I think it's actually going to arrive tomorrow or the next day. So we won't have to deal with this anymore.
Sweet. I'm still scanning. Yeah, no, that'll be fun to share everything you're doing with Elon Musk. What more could you ask for?
Don't remind
I'm
me, Jeremy.
kidding.
I seriously didn't want to get Starlink because I don't know what Starlink is going to become, and
yes.
But anyway, it's when you live in a rural area, it's really your only hope.
Yeah.
And so Elon Musk is my Obi-Wan Kenobi at the moment.
He is the conduit.
Yeah. Well, while you're scanning, I'll say what I did today. So, what did I do today? I did my chores.
Good.
And I never went out to my tent today because strawberries are coming on like crazy. And so I ended up picking strawberries. We have 4 50-foot rows and then one that's about 25 feet long of strawberries. And then we've got a small patch in the other garden. So I got 3 3.25 picked.
Wow. Nice.
So I got another 50-foot row and a little bit, and then the patch in the other garden I have to get to. And then I was cleaning strawberries upstairs and looked at the time and was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
because it's so light out, and yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I was up to.
Nice. We let's see. I haven't been with you for a couple of weeks. Right? Like I was not here last week, right? Is that right? My whole life is
and now. I actually had the courage to do it by myself.
Wow.
Had the courage to read on my own. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, and it was really. Oh, you'll have to go back and well, you don't have to. You got the book. You can read it because it was. I mean, I wouldn't mind talking about it maybe later afterwards.
Okay.
Finish reading the next section because there was stuff in like I know the Sermon on the Mount. I think especially the parts that I read, like there was the old "Don't remove the speck from your brother's eye until you get the log out of your own eye." Don't cast pearls before swine. What was the other part that was in there? Dust your sandals off and take your blessing if nobody listens to you. But the way that it's written in the Heliand, it just took on a whole, like what he says about the log in your eye, Jeremy. He says, "Fell the tree in your own consciousness first."
Ooh, wow. That's also a nice translation. Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Wow, fell the tree in your own consciousness. Huh.
Yeah, let me just while you're doing that, I'll just read you the thing that really, really, really got me.
Okay. Done. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Did I give you the wrong?
I don't know. We're the biggest noobs over here. We've been doing this for like a year. We're still just like, oh, this is our first time. Thanks everybody. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Sorry, we're not. Sorry, we're still learning.
Okay, so here it says, I will also say, this is from last week, guys, so I just want to read this to Jeremy. I will also say to you where it is that you should guard yourselves against the greatest of evils, the greatest quantity of acts of wickedness. Why should you have a talk with a man, your brother, to tell him that under his eyelash you have seen a tiny fleck of straw in his eye, when you are not willing to be aware of the huge beam, the hard and heavy tree that you have in your eyes? Fell that tree in your own consciousness. Think how you will get rid of it first. Then the light will come shining through to you. Your eyes will be opened. After that, you will then be able to improve and heal the sight of your friend's eyes. And I have to say, what I never noticed before was that there was an after that. I was always under the impression that you could never really point out anyone's fault because you've got a log in your eye, when actually you got work to do. And then after that, you will then be able to improve and heal the sight of your friend's eyes. So I thought that was that really stood out to me. It was really good.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right. Yeah, it's not, well, it reminds me of the scales that were on Paul's eyes. Well, after he saw Christ, and he had scales on his eyes until he was baptized.
Yeah.
That's what comes to mind immediately when you were talking about it, was that same scenario. It's not like he had scales on his eyes for the rest of his life, they fell away.
Right. We also read the marriage feast at Cana, the wedding at Cana, which,
oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it was really, really good. They call the Theotokos the loveliest lady, Christ's mother. So, all right. Well, we could start.
I am trying. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get the.
You're still
now I'm trying to find where those files live on the interwebs. 1 second. Sign in. Again, this is our first time doing a live stream ever. It's a lot of fun. I'm glad you're here. No, I just had some medical stuff going on, so I had to take care of that. Oh, I will share a little sad news.
Well, you probably.
I think I did. Yeah, my dog we've had her she was about 17 years old, and she had a heart attack, and we took her to the hospital, and they said it will be a lot of money to give her not very much more time. So we put her down. It's very sad. It was a tragic day.
Yeah, it is terrible to lose an animal, especially, we had a very old dog. I mean, she was old. She was 13. She was my daughter's puppy. She got the dog for her birthday when she was 13.
Yeah.
And we were evacuated in 2017 for 6 weeks from our home because of forest fires here. And she started to fail in a weird way, and I thought she had something wrong with her kidney. So I took her to a vet, and we're in this other city in an evacuation center, and she's totally stressed out. Anyway, and the vet said, "Oh, she doesn't have kidney problems. She's got a giant tumor in her that whole cavity. The vet couldn't even palpate it." And in the end, I had to take her to a stranger in a strange city and have her put down. And I wanted to take her home with me, you know?
Yeah.
It was so terrible. Yeah. was really terrible. So
that's hard.
Yeah.
Okay, I finally got what we need. Kind of. It's all
right.
swampy, but it's better than nothing.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Thanks for everyone's patience with us.
Yes, thank you. We're glad you're here. And I will share my screen. Okay.
There we go.
And I will put on my glasses. At Hillfort, Capernaum, God's child of peace heals a household lad of a commander of 100 men. When he left the wedding, Christ, most powerful of kings, decided to go to Capernaum, the great Hillfort, with his followers. His forces of good men, his happy warrior company assembled in front of him. They wanted to hear his sweet and holy word. A commander of 100 men, a good man, then approached him and asked the Holy One earnestly for help. He said that he had long had a frail cripple among the members of his household, a sick person in his house. Not a single man is able to heal him with his hands. Now he needs your help, my good Lord. Then the peace child of God spoke to him, replying immediately and saying that he would come there and would rescue the child from this affliction. At that, the man came closer to him, leaving the crowd behind, to exchange words with the Mighty One. I am not worthy, my good Lord, he said, that you should come to my house or enter into my hall, for I am a very sinful man in both what I say and do. I believe that you have power, that you can work his cure from here, my Lord ruler. If you say it with your words, then his sickness will disappear immediately, and his body will become whole and restored, if you give him your help. I am an officer. I have attained sufficient property and prosperity for myself. Though I am under the command of a noble king, I have a troop of earls, loyal fighting men of the army, who are so obedient to me that they do not fail to do a whit of the words or activities which I order them to do in this territory. They march off, they carry out my orders, and they come back loyally to their lord and master. Even though I have extensive property and plenty of people, fight-minded warriors at my residence, I do not dare to ask you, God's so holy Son, to walk to my house, to go into my home, because I am so sinful. I know my wrongdoings. I missed a footnote up there. It was 103.
Yeah, the footnote. It's when he says, if you give him your help. As in the miracle at Cana, Jesus is depicted as capable of Germanic magic. In Scripture, the centurion says that Christ is capable of healing the boy at a distance. Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof, but only say the word and my servant will be healed. In the Heliand, this power is made quite explicit by adding the word hin ana, from here.
Oh, nice. Then Christ the ruler spoke. The man spoke to his followers and said that he had not found anyone among the Jews, the descendants of Israel, like this man, no one in this country who believed more clearly in God and in heaven. Now I want you to listen to what I am going to tell you here in true words. There are still many foreign peoples from the east and the west, many of the clans of men who are come together, the holy people of God, in the kingdom of heaven. There they can rest in the lap of Abraham, of Isaac himself, and of Jacob too, those good men, and can enjoy welfare and happiness, a life of pleasure, good life in God's light. That I can imagine that made some people very upset. Sorry. Then many of the Jews, the sons of this kingdom, will be robbed, deprived of these glories, and will lie in dark valleys at the farthest ends of the infernal regions. There you will hear those heroes lamenting. There they continually bite their teeth in their anger. There the guest rages in pain, and the fire is greedy. The hard hellish torture, hot and dark, black eternal night, the reward for sins, for wrathful wrongdoing, paid to whoever did not have the desire to save himself before he gave up this light, before he wended his way from this world. Now you may go on your way. if you will, and return to your house. At home you will find the young man healthy. He is in good spirits. The boy is cured just as you asked me. It all happened because you have faith firmly fixed in your mind." The officer then said his thanks to the Heaven King, to the all-ruling God, in front of the people for helping him with such a problem. What he wanted had been happily granted to him. He then set out from there on the journey, and willingly went to where he had his property, his house and his lands. He found the boy, a man in his childhood, healthy. Christ's words were fulfilled. He had such power to perform signs that no one on this earth can tell or count all the famous deeds he did by his own strength in this middle world, all the wonders he worked, because everything, heaven and earth, is under his command.
Mm.
Song 26. Christ the Rescuer raises the dead son of a widow outside Fort Nahum. Then the holy Christ decided to keep on traveling. Every day the almighty good chieftain did loving things for the people. With words he taught the people God's will, and he always had many followers with him as warrior companions. The people of God, a powerful force of men from many peoples, a holy army. His help was good. He was generous to human beings. There's a footnote there. 104. Did we lose you? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, I will read it. Mm-hmm. The footnote is 104. The image of Christ here is that of a powerful Germanic chieftain or king, by ancient custom making the rounds of his territory with his retinue of warrior companions, the royal progress of later centuries. At that time, God's Son, the Rescuer, was coming with this noisy crowd to the high hill fort at Nahum. There his name was to become famous among mankind. Footnote 105. Are you back yet,
Jeremy?
Shari?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm back. Sorry. Can you just I'm trying I'm trying I'm trying to figure this thing out here, this
Sure.
stupid internet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, so footnote 105 is, this remark is a commonplace form from Germanic epic poetry. The poet-author was still using the technique 400 years later. The author inserts such remarks into a text, not so much to assert his presence in the story or to alienate participation in the plot in Brechtian style, but to give a sense of the fatedness of the happenings that occurred to the hero of the story. The author's voice becomes a sort of vehicle for a later time's all-knowing hindsight. And okay, there we go. And in the Heliand, a vehicle for making Christ into a Germanic hero. Christ the Rescuer walked powerfully toward it until he, the best of all healers, was close to it. At that moment, they saw people bringing out a corpse, a lifeless body. They were carrying it out the hill fort's gate on a stretcher. It was a very young man. The mother was walking behind the corpse. Her heart was grief-stricken. She was beating herself with her hands, lamenting and crying over her child's death, the poor woman. It was her only child. She was a widow. She had no more joy except for this one son. He was all that was left to her of happiness and delight, until fate took him from her, the great measurer's doings. A crowd of the fort people followed as they brought the young man on the stretcher to his grave. The Son of God became filled with compassion and spoke to the mother. He told the widow to stop crying, to stop lamenting over the now I have to find the next file. No. 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 I missed a page. Okay, I will read it from the book. Sorry, I do not have this page scanned. Oh, okay. The Son of God became filled with compassion and spoke to the mother. He told the widow to stop crying, to stop lamenting over the child. You will see power here, the work of the ruler. A favor will be granted to you here, consolation in front of these people. There is no need for you to mourn over the life spirit of your boy. Then he walked up to the stretcher, and the chieftain's son touched him with holy hands. There's a footnote there on holy hands. Scripture has that he touched the stretcher. In the Saxon text, the pronoun refers to the boy. The touching of the dead with the holy hands in a Germanic context, which is taboo in a Hebrew one, seems to add a much more magical tone to the scene, parallel to the changing of water into wine in the author's reinterpretation of the marriage feast at Cana. Touched him with holy hands, and spoke to the hero, telling the young man to get up, to rise up from his resting place. The young fighter sat up on the stretcher. His spirit had come back into his chest by God's power, and the man began to talk to his relatives. Then Christ the healer gave the young man into the hands of his mother. Her heart was consoled. The woman was full of happiness that such a favor was granted to her. She fell at Christ's feet and praised the people's chieftain before the crowd, because he had protected a life spirit so dear to her against the workings of the measurer. 107. That's an Old English word that I can't pronounce. The measurer's doings or decisions. Fate is again made responsible for the timing, in this case, the inconsiderate timing of the young man's death. As in the Zachary story, the author does not deny the power and activity of fate and time in this world, but shows the gospel as saying that Christ is more powerful. She understood that he was the mighty chieftain, the Holy One who ruled heaven, and that he could help many, all earth peoples. Many began to be aware of the wonder that had happened among the people. They said the ruler himself had come in power to make many wise, and that he had sent a great wizard to them. And the wizard is, there's another footnote, which is Uarsago, which literally means truthsayer or soothsayer, wizard or fortune teller. This Germanic religious concept is used by the author as the equivalent for the biblical prophet. Eusargos must have stood very high in respect in Germanic religion, since not only the Heliand, but also the very conservative literal translation of the day, the old German Titian, uses an equivalent word, wizago, or for prophet. From the Heliand context, it seems that a Uarsago had two functions, that of person of wisdom, seer, and that of person of magic, a wonder worker, both of which were attributed here to Christ. Because of these two functions, soothsayer might be too minimal a translation of Uarsago in this passage of the Heliand. More accurate, it seems, is wizard. So he had sent a great wizard to them in the kingdom of the world, one who had done such a great favor for them here. I'm still trying to, yep, okay. I'm sorry, I haven't caught up to what I scanned yet, so I'm still in the book. Forgive me. Then many an earl was seized on the spot by terror. The people became frightened when they saw the boy's own life spirit looking at the light of day, the life spirit which death had already taken from him when he died on his sickbed. He was healthy once again. The young child came to life. This became known everywhere among the descendants of Israel. By the time evening came, there were assembled at the place all the sick people, people with crippled hands and legs. Every single sick person living in the area was being brought there. They were coming to Christ, coming to the place where he, with his great power, was helping them and healing them, and then letting them go on their way wherever they wished, healed. One should praise his work and appreciate his deeds. For this reason, he is the chieftain himself, the mighty protector of mankind, of any persons who believe in his words and in his works. And there's a footnote on works. All right.
I can read.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm back.
No, it's fine.
This last paragraph is a doxology and reflects the ancient liturgical practice of completing public prayers with a brief glorification of God. Many of the Heliand's 71 songs end with a form of doxology, usually a mixed sort. The praise of God is combined with a moral admonition to the Saxon audience not to vacillate, to believe and not to doubt.
Song 27. So many people were coming from every foreign people to the place of Christ's honor, to such a powerful protection that God's Son wanted to take a trip out on the sea, as if on the border. It is on the border of Galilee land, with his followers, the ruler out on the waves of the sea. He told the other people to travel on ahead and decided to get into a boat with a small number to get some sleep. The rescuing Christ was worn out with his journeys. Now we're back onto the text on the screen. The weather-wise warriors hoisted up the sail, and keeping the wind aft, they ran before it over the ocean swells.
The author knows his seamanship, and in this and other marine passages, inserts accurate nautical details to let the North Sea audience know that Christ and Peter could also handle a boat.
Until the ruler and his crew came to the middle. Then the weather began to increase in strength. The storm wind rose. The waves grew. Thickening darkness rushed in. The sea began to move. The wind battled the water. The men were worried. The ocean was so angry. Not one of the men thought he had much longer to live. It was then they woke up the country's guardian with their words and told him about the strength of the storm and asked the saving Christ graciously to protect them from the water. Otherwise, we are going to die here in the sea in terrible pain. Then he himself arose, the good Son of God, and spoke to his followers. He told them not to be a bit afraid, that the storm was gaining on them. Why are you so afraid? He said. You are still not sure in your minds. Your faith is still too little. It will not be long before the waves will be quieter and the weather will be beautiful. Then he spoke to the wind and also to the sea itself, and he told both of them to behave themselves more calmly. They carried out the command, the ruler's word. The storm winds died down, and the sea became tranquil. Then the people who were with him began to wonder, and some said it with their own words, what kind of a more powerful human being he might be, that both the wind and the waves obeyed his word of command. The Son of God had saved them from peril. The boat glided onward, the high-honored ship. Oh, the high-horned ship.
High-horned. Yeah, that is Hornitskip. The boat is therefore something of a Viking-style longboat with a high curving stem and stern posts.
The heroes made land. They gave praise to God, glorifying his great strength. Many persons came to God's Son. He gladly received anyone who came there with a clear mind looking for help. He taught them their faith, and he healed their bodies with his hands. It did not matter how badly hurt by sickness the person was. Even if Satan's deceitful followers had a man in their hands with all their hostile strength and had so twisted his mind and wits that he went about like a raging maniac among the people, the healing Christ always gave him back his life spirit. If the man came to his hands, Christ drove the devils away with the chieftain's power by words of truth and gave him back his wits. He made the man whole again against the hate-filled ones, gave him peace again against the enemy, and then let him set off on his way to whatever land he loved the most.
Oh man, I
Oh,
just have to I just have to say, when he says things like this, it was when I was reading the last time too, from the Sermon on the Mount, he talked about Hellland as being dark and hot, and I don't know, the words he used, I thought, man, this guy knows what that feels like, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
And so you can get a sense of the author of the Heliand with sentences like, many persons came to God's Son. He gladly received anyone who came there with a clear mind looking for help. With a clear mind looking
yeah,
for help. That, to me, that is a sentence that only a person who's done that can write.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah,
And then, like that last line that you just read, and then let him set off on his way to whatever land he loved the most.
yeah. That's so beautiful.
It's our
What
agency. It's our
I was
agency.
just going to say that, yeah, it suggests our freedom, right?
Yeah.
Our freedom of spirit,
Yeah.
and that there's not. I mean, there are holy places, but you can also bring holiness to whatever place you're in, right?
And
There's a
yes.
sense of that too. It's like I mean, Jerusalem is the center of the world. However, you don't have to go to Jerusalem to worship God, right? Like Christ talks about that. He's like, the time will come when no one is in Jerusalem's no one's gonna be worshiping God at Jerusalem, right? So
Right. And I think it's also pointing at the kingdom of heaven is within you, right?
yes, yes, exactly. That
Yeah,
you can bring heaven with you wherever you go. Yeah.
right. Right.
Yeah. I loved up here a little earlier too, where it said that the weather began to increase in strength, the storm wind rose, the waves grew, thickening darkness rushed in, which is a beautiful image. Thickening darkness rushed in.
Yeah.
The sea began to move, the wind battled the water.
Yeah.
That's such a beautiful sentence. That's like the way it is to be in a boat on the water when the storm comes up. I've been in that situation a few times, and it's pretty harrowing. The thickening darkness rushed in.
Yes.
That's so good.
Yeah. Just amazing. I love it. It really
Yeah.
gives you, yeah, it puts you there, right? It really puts you in there in the, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I also like how Christ said, "It will not be." So he's like, "You are still not sure in your minds. Your faith is still too little. It will not be long before the waves will be quieter and the weather will be beautiful." You know,
Mm,
our our priest gave a homily. So our priest went on pilgrimage to Romania. He was there for 2 weeks visiting a lot of monasteries and
yeah.
venerating relics, going uh, to grave sites. He brought back relics. He brought back some great stories. But he said he had a minute where he was talking to the disciple of one of the recently venerated saints. They had a few minutes where he was just talking to him, and he said, what is something that your teacher taught you about suffering?" And he said, the monk kind of chuckled and said, "Well, you're the priest. I'm sure you can teach me about suffering." and and the priest laughed. But he said, "Is there something, a teaching that your teacher gave you that sticks with you?" And he said, yes. He said, one time, he said, I was struggling deeply in the spiritual life, and I was being attacked constantly, and I was fighting off despondency. I was fighting off despair, and I was just not doing well. And I was constantly having feelings that I should leave the monastery, and that I don't belong here. And he said, I went to the abbot Or I mean, I went to the spiritual father who was the abbot and I told him these struggles. And he said, I know what you need to do. He said, when this happens, you need to go and stand in front of your icon and you thank God from the deepest part of your heart for these struggles and that you are worthy for these struggles.
Mm.
And then you beg him for more.
Wow. Yeah.
And Father, my priest said, it's not that God wants us to suffer. It's that, the abbot then said, if you do this, the heaven will show favor toward you because they will point at you and say, yes, that's love, right? That's devotion. And
I wish I had my my book that I'm reading right now, because there's a quote from Saint Macarius the Great about the struggles of the and I can't do it any justice. It's not that I just recently read it, so it's not that emblazoned in my mind, but it's something about the labor of sorrow that produces. And here's the thing: before he quotes Macarius, he talks about the philokalia, and he talks about the ancient meaning of the word kalia. And it's not wisdom, it's beauty. And he says that the men and women who follow the instruction of the philokalia do not become good or kind people, but they become beautiful people. And then he quotes Macarius as saying that it is only through these labors of sorrow and great struggle, and not just ascetic, just the the things that we all have to face in our lives, that create that kind of beauty in us, right? And I'm reading this and I'm thinking, oh, this is exactly why Dostoevsky said beauty will save the world. Okay. Because here's the deal. He talks about Dostoevsky as having frequented Optina monastery a lot, Jeremy. And that is the monastery where Saint Seraphim and some very prominent monks and spiritual elders were, right? And that is, I think, now he doesn't say this, Florensky doesn't say this directly, but I think that that's what Dostoevsky's talking about. He's talking about that kind of beauty, and that beauty arises out of the struggle and the labor and the sorrows of overcoming the difficulties of our lives, right?
Yeah. There's a pliableness that comes, right? And there's an emptying of the self as well, right? So in Taoism, there was this idea of like, if you watch a baby's movements or if you watch a master craftsman's movements, in both cases you're seeing freedom. But in the case of the baby, you're seeing uneducated, uncultured freedom that's just moving. But when you're watching a master craftsman, you're seeing an elegance of movement, in that there's a conservation of motion where they're only moving as much as they need to, but they're still ultimately free, right? It's a different, like,
right.
but they've become selfless again. Like they've become unself-aware again
Yeah, that's
in
that
the
samurai
flow of,
stuff, right?
yes, yeah, in the flow of performing their craft. They're unself-aware, just like a baby is. But a baby does not have skill. So it's like a skilled unself-awareness. Yeah.
Right. So it's and you know why that appears beautiful to us? Because what beauty does is it takes um seemingly disparate things and it brings them together into a unity.
Mm,
So, you know, it's like when you look at a beautiful face, for example, you can't say what about the face is the most beautiful. It's the whole that is beautiful, right?
yeah.
And
Yes.
and so when you encounter beauty, you're encountering unity,
Mm, yeah.
right?
Harmony. Yeah. Yes. Harmony. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
not unity in the sense of sameness, but it's unity in you know, Hans Urs von Balthasar says that beauty is the disinterested one who dances around the constellations of truth and goodness. And
Mm,
and I find that really interesting because that image is a circling motion, right?
yeah.
And so what beauty does is it gathers everything in to the one,
Mm,
which is that kind of unity.
yeah. Yeah. This ties right in with the conversation that Jonathan Peugeot had with John Vervaeke over on Sam's channel on what is spirit. I don't
Oh,
know if you've
yeah.
seen that yet.
I haven't seen that one, but, you know, the
It
chapter
ties
af
in perfectly.
yeah, well, here's the deal, in Florensky's book, the chapter after beauty or where he talks about those things is the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm,
Well,
mhm.
Jonathan shared something that was, I thought, really insightful that actually helped something click for me. He was talking about how a lot of people, when they're talking about the one and the many, the reason they get confused is because they they think the one is above the many. And he said, but they're not. They're next to each other and they're both embedded in something larger. So, and he, he didn't use this example, but the example that came to mind for me was, it's terrible. Forgive me. It's not cool, but it's a sports analogy. And it was the idea of like, you can you have hockey, and then you can have a team, you can have a hockey team, and then with a hockey team you have members. So the team is a unification, but that unification, you could get too focused on, and this is what he said the mistake is to just focus on the one as ruling over the many, and the one and the many are just the complete picture. But he said, but those are just a relationship within a larger relationship, where you have, the one particular hockey team is in a hockey league of teams, right?
Right.
So, and they're all playing, they're all competing, they're all playing toward a purpose, right? It's like, and he said this is what spirit is. Like, spirit is what animates you toward a purpose.
Well, you know, I've thought a lot about the one and the many just from the philosophical point of view, and this might sound really hubristic of me to say, but I don't know what the big deal is about it.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, because as you were talking, it suddenly dawned on me, because we think in terms of quantity and not quality, we think that one is one of the many,
Mm,
okay? But
mm-hmm.
in this sense, you know, and it's really hard for our irrational mind to run away from the numerical values that are automatically imbued to words like one and many, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
When someone says several, for example, a lot of people are like, well, how many is that? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we just
Yeah.
automatically think like that. So, but the one is the many, and the many are the one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the point
And
he
that
was
is why
making.
I
Yeah.
right. And that is why I love to use the idea of the beautiful face. Because I think what gives us a sense of beauty is when the many become the one right before our eyes.
Yes. Right.
And that is beauty. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what beauty is. So
Yeah.
we see a face with eyes, ears, nose, mouth, skin complexion, hair color, eye color, whatever. But it doesn't appear to us as all those things. It appears to us as a beautiful face. Period.
Mm.
It is
Yes.
one thing. And what's so striking about it is the many things have created it.
Yes.
The
Right.
many has created the one thing that is beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm getting my point across, but it's
Yeah. No,
I'm
yeah, I
trying.
totally agree. Yeah. And um what was I gonna say? Um oh, yeah, another example I like is a symphony. It's the same idea, right? You have all the different instruments
Mhm.
and they're all performing to the best of their ability, but in conjunction with each other, and they're playing out in time what is basically out of time on paper, right? Like a symphony itself doesn't have a time element to it. You can look at it the whole thing at once on paper. Well, maybe you have to flip pages,
Mhm.
but then they're moving through it
Right.
harmoniously, hopefully, and then so they're experiencing it as they're performing it, and then you're experiencing it as it's being performed, and you're there performing, participating in it, and it's all beautiful. All right, it's the beautiful, because
Yeah.
because a symphony without an audience is, you know less meaningful than having an audience there participating as they're moving through it. But like you were saying, it was like the many are participating in the one. They're participating in the symphony, but they're all participating in different ways and to
Right.
different degrees.
Yeah. But this is where the phrase that Balthasar uses really strikes me when he says beauty is the disinterested one. Because what beauty is doing is gathering it all together into the one.
Yeah,
And
that's a
and
nice way of
and
putting
we
it.
and we can't put our finger on what it is that strikes us as beautiful. Have you ever thought about that?
Mm,
We
yeah.
just say that. And when we say that is beautiful, we're talking about the one that we see or
Mm,
feel, as in
yes.
the face or hearing the symphony. We're not thinking about all the disparate parts of the symphony. And we're not
Right.
saying that cello is beautiful when we say that is beautiful. What we're saying is that one is beautiful. And so beauty is the disinterested one. It doesn't call attention to itself, right? It
Yeah.
it it uh it draws your attention into the one. It's it's my new I mean, it's not a new favorite topic. I've thought about beauty for a long time and I'm still thinking about it. But when Florensky talked about the Philokalia as um, not a book of wisdom, but a book of beauty. Um, when we see someone, let's say Father Roman Braga, We see Father Roman Braga, a man who suffered at the hands of torturers horribly. And he didn't just suffer at their hands. He also suffered because of their torture, because it was psychological. They made him do things to other people.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he had to live with that. And yet it made him a beautiful man, because he had to take all of that pain, all of that suffering, all of the guilt, all of the shame, and he had to funnel it through these great labors of sorrow. Right?
Yes.
So like, and because he did that, Jeremy, it made him beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. That phrase that Isaiah 53 came to mind, a man of sorrows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You want to read it?
I was just going to pull it up.
Cool. Cassandra, I like the analogy of a beautiful face. Sometimes people hyper-focus on certain features and end up destroying. Yeah, exactly. That's what plastic surgery, I mean, we've all seen those videos of these women who go out and first they get a nose job, and then they got to fix their eyebrows, and then they got to pull up their, and before long they look like something absolutely hideous. I wanted to bring your attention to this one here, Jeremy. Penn says, I oddly found Pajot to be naturalizing the spiritual in that conversation.
I'm not sure I understand what that means. Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Naturalizing the spiritual, because to me they're intertwined. Like, I think that's, to me, that the first thing that comes to mind is that's the sacramental worldview.
Mm-hmm.
The spiritual and the physical are inextricable, even though they're distinct. Logically, it's a logical distinction. It's not of kind, right? Necessarily. I don't. So I'm not quite sure.
Maybe you could elaborate that.
I oddly found it. It sounds like it's a bit of a criticism, and I don't understand if it is, and if it is, I don't understand the nature of the criticism, to be honest. But I'm probably misunderstanding your point.
Text is
in
like
the meantime
that.
I'll share Isaiah 53. Who hath believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs, and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he openeth not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare this his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. And he made his grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. He hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. He shall see of the travail of his soul and shall be satisfied. By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. Therefore will I divide him a portion with the great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he hath poured out his soul unto death. And he was numbered with the transgressors, and he bare the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors.
Mm. Beautiful.
Yeah, a man of sorrows.
Yeah.
Acquainted with grief, right? That's what you're saying. It's like, it's the take up your cross and follow me. You know, it's like, it's the path. There's no other path.
Yeah. So Lance is here. Hi, Lance. It's nice to see you.
Lance.
And Luke Johnston, he shared this quote with me a long time ago, and it's really good. It's from John Vervaeke. Beauty is when we have good phenomenological reason to believe that appearances are disclosing reality. And, come on. That our attempts to make sense phenomenologically, not just conceptually, are in contact with reality. Yeah. I think that's what I mean about disclosing reality is it's the statement that's beautiful, you know?
Mm-hmm.
When we see beauty, that reality is beautiful. It just is.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the only thing we can actually say is holy, 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 right? Lord God
Right.
Almighty. Like this is what the the heavenly hosts sing in heaven, because and here's the deal, Jeremy, my friend, what is the etymology of the word holy?
Well, it means, in Greek, holy and saint are the same word, and it means set apart, for separated, like consecrated.
Yes, but I think also the word that holy is also related to the word whole, complete, isn't it?
I don't know. Yes, it is. Yes. I just pulled up, I'll share our friend,
Share.
the quick dictionary that I can pull up quickly. My friend Webster's, the 1913 edition of Webster's, holy. Old English, holy. Health, salvation, happiness. Whole, well, akin to a bunch of Danish words and Iceland words. See, whole, and of halibut, halidum, hallow, hollyhock. Set apart to the service or worship of God, hallowed, sacred, reserved from profane or common use. Holy vessels, a holy priesthood, holy rites. And like I said, holy and saint in Greek are the same word.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, you're right. It's also related to wholeness and being well.
Yeah.
Wellness.
Healing.
Yeah.
Heil. Okay, that's the German word for heal is heil. There's Icelandic there. Heilagar, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so these words are all like, yeah, Cassandra says here, whole is complete and whole is incomplete.
Nice. Well played, Cassandra. That was that's very nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Well played.
Yeah.
Although that might be one of those tricks
who
where
knows?
it may be, but sometimes people get caught up in those kind of things. Let's look though. Let's look. Whole. Small cavity used in some games. Fives. Where does it come from? Give us the etymology. A cavern, from a hollow, akin to whole or whole, hollow or whole, hala, probably from the root of halan, which means to conceal. To conceal. So So I think it might be a coincidence on the spelling. It doesn't look like they're
But wait a
too.
minute. Look
Oh
at the
wait, look at
next
this.
word.
Look at that.
Well, that was
He
Chaucer. He just spelled it that way.
he just spelled it
But
without a
look
W.
at the word hell is in there, my friend.
Oh
Hell.
yes, hell. Yeah, in a hole or in the hold of a ship, where Christ was when he was sleeping during the storm.
Yeah.
Right. He
Yeah.
went down into the hold. He was sleeping, and sleep is a mini death. I don't know if we want to go down that rabbit hole, but that's definitely related. Anyway.
Luke says, "What is the real? I recall going insane and an existential demand for reality, but the way back, time and time again, is beauty." Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, beauty is a nice way of snapping you out of the hyper rational analysis mode. You know, I don't know if I don't know if I appreciate the message of Dead Poet Society now as much as I did when I was a young angsty teenager. But but one beautiful part of that is that whole, where they're reading the essay about analyzing the poem, and you're analyzing the intensity or the meaning, like the depth of the meaning of the poem, and then measuring it on one axis of the graph, and the other axis of the graph is how well it's executed, like how well the author, moved toward that message, and that you could plot the value of a poem by then, plotting where those 2 points to come together, and the area of the rectangle would tell you the value of the poem. And the teacher's just like, yeah, rip it out. And they're like, what? And he's like, yeah, rip it out of your book. Just rip that out. Right. It's like,
Yeah.
it's that same idea of being snapped out of the spell, right?
Yeah.
By an encounter. An encounter with beauty is what snaps you out of the spell of your rationality.
Mm. Yeah, this is beauty is just something it's really the magical, um
Yeah.
I'm just looking here for a quote from George MacDonald. Here we go. Let me see here. So in this poem, he meets this woman who's mounted on a horse, and she falls suddenly because her saddle breaks, and he runs and he helps her to, and then he fixes it, and then again I'll just read. Again she thanked him, while again he stood bewildered in her beauty. Not a word answered her words that flowed, folded in tones round which dissolving lambent music played, like dropping water in a silver cup, till round the shoulder of the neighboring hill sudden she disappeared, because she rode away. And he awoke and called himself hard names, and turned and went after his horses, bending them like his head. He had this moment of speechlessness when she was trying to talk to him and he didn't know what to say, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
like
then he
Medusa,
says,
but like the beauty version of it. Right.
right. And so then afterwards he says, "Ah, God, when beauty passes from the door, although she came not in, the house is bare. Shut, shut the door. There's nothing in the house. Why seems it always that she should be ours? A secret lies behind which thou dost know, and I can partly guess." And then the next morning, he wakes up, and I hope I have it here. He says this: Again, I say, no fond romance of love, so nothing happened between them, right?
Yeah.
If he were someone and she sought his help, she turned his clear brain into a nest of dreams. As soon as he had sat down and twisted cords to snare and carry home for household help, some woman angel wandering half seen on moonlit wings or withered autumn fields. But when he rose next morning, went abroad, the exaltation of his newfound rank already settling into dignity, this is what happened to him. Behold, the earth was beautiful. The sky shone with the expectation of the sun. Only the daisies grieved him, for they fell caught in the furrow with their innocent heads, just out imploring, because he's plowing in a field. A gray hedgehog ran with tangled mesh of rough laid spikes and face, helplessly innocent across the field. He let it run and blessed it as it ran. Returned at noontide, something drew his feet into the barn. Entering, he gazed and stood, for through the rent roof lighting, one sunbeam blazed on the yellow straw, one golden spot dulled all the amber heap, and sinking far, like flame inverted, through the loose piled mound, crossed the keen splendor with dark shadow straws, in lines innumerable. It was so bright. His eye was cheated with the spectral smoke that rose as from a fire. He had not known how beautiful the sunlight was, not even upon the windy fields of morning grass. On tiptoe silent, as if to catch a wild live thing, he crept and laid him on the heap, and gazing down into the glory, dreamed as a boy half sleeping by the fire, just watching that sunlight in the straw. And then he says this, and I'll stop after this. God and not woman is the heart of all, but she as priestess of the visible earth, holding the key, herself most beautiful, had come to him and flung the portals wide. He entered. Every beauty was a glass that gleamed the woman back upon his view. Shall I not rather say, each beauty gave its own soul up to him who worshipped her, for that his eyes were opened now to see? I love that part. His whole life changed because he had this encounter with beauty. The whole world changed, It's just so
Right.
so
That, man, that ties in so beautifully with a passage. My wife is reading The Great Divorce. And she hadn't read it since she was really young, and she's really enjoying it. But there was a passage she shared with me today, and it ties in perfectly. Let me pull it up. Sorry, it'll take just a second to find it here. Oh, I think that's it.
Sure.
Let me get my old glasses out, Ma. There we go.
It's unavoidable, Jeremy.
I know. No, I can still spot a deer at 400 yards, but I can't read my phone. Okay, so I'll read it here. This curious wish to describe hell turned out, however. Oh wait, let me make sure this is the right one. Oh no, that's not it. I'm sorry. I'm glad I didn't start reading that passage. That was not the one. It was the earlier one that she shared. Oh, this is it. Son, he said, ye cannot in your present state understand eternity. When Anados looked through the door of the timeless, he brought no message back. But ye can get some likeness of it if ye say that both good and evil, when they are full grown, become retrospective. Not only this valley, but all this earthly past will have been heaven to those who are saved. Not only the twilight in that town, but all their life on earth too, will then be seen by the damned to have been hell. That is what mortals misunderstand. They say of some temporal suffering, no future bliss can make up for it, not knowing that heaven, once attained, will work backwards and turn even that agony into a glory. And of some sinful pleasure they say, let me but have this and I'll take the consequences, little dreaming how damnation will spread back and back into their past and contaminate the pleasure of the sin. Both processes begin even before death. The good man's past begins to change so that his forgiven sins and remembered sorrows take on the quality of heaven. The bad man's past already conforms to his badness and is filled only with dreariness. And that is why, at the end of all things, when the sun rises here and the twilight turns to blackness down there, the blessed will say, we have never lived anywhere except in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And the lost, we were always in hell. And both will speak truly. Is not that very hard, sir? I mean, that is the real sense of what they will say. In the actual language of the lost, the words will be different, no doubt. One will say he has always served his country right or wrong, and another that he has sacrificed everything to his art.
Is that
it's related to the beauty, like the character you read, his eyes were transformed and he was able to see beauty and all of the things that he had seen 1,000 times,
right.
But he was seeing them with new eyes. And then this passage is extending that and saying, yeah, and when you get to heaven, you're going to look backwards in the same way, and everything will be transformed.
Right. Is that the part of the book where he's talking to George MacDonald?
I don't remember because I haven't read it for a while. He didn't include the
I haven't either.
context.
I've been wanting to go back and read that through again.
Yeah, I think I will too when my wife finishes it.
Yeah. What I thought of was out of the Heliand from the last thing that we read. Oh, did I just lose it? Wait, hang on. Here, he says, after he talks about the pearls before swine, he says, as you travel through this country, you should also guard against the trickery of these people, so that the teacher of lies do not seduce you with words or actions. They come to you in such robes, with the finest of jewels, but they have deception in mind. You will recognize them immediately as soon as you see them coming. They speak wise words, but their actions are worth nothing. Worthless are the thoughts of those things. For you know that wine grapes do not grow on a sticker bush, nor do any of the finest fruits, and heroes cannot pick figs from a thorn tree. You certainly can understand that a bad tree standing on the earth never gives good fruit, nor did God ever ordain that the good tree of the sons of men should bear bitter fruit. Each and every tree brings to this world the kind of fruit that comes from its roots, either sweet or sour. In their deepest thoughts and inmost feelings, most of mankind believes that every earl reveals himself, telling you with his mouth what kind of feelings and thoughts are in his heart. He cannot disguise it. And here's what brought it to mind when you were talking about, in that quote there, it talked about the good man looking back and seeing the beauty, and I don't know how he phrased it, the evil man or the wicked man or something.
Lost.
The lost, yeah. So here he says, from an evil man will come malicious advice, bitterly negative speech, just what he keeps within his chest, chained around his heart. I love that. His thoughts and his will always make themselves known in his words, and then his actions come traveling along behind. From the good man comes an intelligent and wisely thought out answer, just as he always speaks in his words. Out of this man's mouth comes a treasure hoard of feelings that he has around his heart. That is where the holy teaching comes from. And his works following thereafter will thrive for the good of the people and will be appreciated by many Thanes. So, it's just, I think, reiterating that what is on the inside, right, is what manifests itself outside. And so if you look back over your life and you can't see the beauty of it, and of course there are lots of times when we can't see the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
Um
Yeah. We're not high enough up to look down on it. Like you've got to be up on the mountain looking down at the valley at sunset to see the beauty.
Right. Yeah.
When you're carrying a heavy rock up the side of the mountain, sometimes it's hard to see.
I got in trouble. I got in trouble for saying that once, and ever since then, I feel afraid to say you got to be higher up the mountain. But that's what I meant.
I see. Yeah, I didn't mean in like spiritual pride.
I know.
I just meant
no.
I just meant the view.
Exactly. Yeah.
When things are too close. Well, it's like when Peter looked out and saw the storm, he wasn't looking at it the same way Christ was. Right? He was distracted by his fear of death.
Well, the important thing about that image of the mountain is that it does actually give us more than one sense of reality. Reality as hierarchical, and not in a, Jesus says, when the two disciples say to him, we want to know if we're going to be sitting at your right hand, right?
Yeah.
God is no favor, he doesn't favor anyone in particular.
Right.
He sees us all as, well, the body of Christ, as a one thing, right?
Yes. Yep.
So but there is a journey that needs to be made, right? And we are going somewhere. Yes. Like Heidegger talks about it as thrownness towards death. Christianity talks about death as life. So if that's where we're headed, that's the top of the mountain, friend. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because it is, the church fathers mention how death is kind of like it's the final transformation. Well, the final transformation will be Judgment Day, but your transformation takes place. There's a major transformation that takes place at death, where you're all of a sudden your whole life makes sense. Like you see it.
Yeah.
You see it the way God sees it. And that may bring you great peace, or it may bring you great turmoil.
Dawn's asking if we're going to finish the Heliand here. We're going to move it to the new channel. So
yeah.
Not to interrupt the flow of the conversation here or anything, but
fine.
I just wanted to say that I'm going to have to go back in and edit. Well, we'll see. Jeremy's working feverishly in the background to get things set up for the new channel.
Yeah, I think we'll be set up by next week. It should be fine. I had quite a few positive emails that came through saying, "Okay, now this is ready. So we're moving in the right direction."
And then you're going to have to give me the, YouTube and StreamYard for Dummies, because it seems like I know how to use StreamYard, but anything, if at any moment, this app said to me, you need to enter your password, I'd be screwed.
I see. Yeah. Well, yeah. So yeah, no, it shouldn't be a problem. You got invites to the YouTube and to the StreamYard, right? I sent invites to you. So what you do with the passwords is up to you. I don't know.
I don't even know why I still have, like, I can open StreamYard. It's a tab. I can open it and I don't have to put any passwords in. And I don't know why that is, and I just use it. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You might have to log out of that one and
So I don't really
log in, or we'll see. We'll figure it out. We'll have a
figure it
session
out. You have to
between,
give me
yeah, we'll figure it out between now and Tuesday. So that'll be good. And it'll be good to do a test run anyway. So very exciting, Dawn. Thank you.
Look.
Nice. Oh, that's very nice.
Wow.
Thanks. Thank you. I set one up today myself, so we should be all good.
Yeah.
Because it's like it kind of marries to your Gmail account. So anyway, we got it all set up, but we're grateful for your offers. And Grail Country has offered to let us use their StreamYard channel, and like everyone's been very gracious and kind.
Super
and
great.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. And this is just, I want to give a little bit of background to this. This is so I can pull up this image. Hold on, because this kind of let me see.
Oh, you know what? Shoot.
Hold on.
Jeremy, I totally forgot to drop a link.
Oh, to have people join us?
Wants to join us.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. Totally got caught up in our conversation.
Okay, so let me pull up this image real quick and share it. This is kind of
There's a link in there, guys.
Then I'll tell the story of where this came from.
Yeah.
So let's see, because this has actually been in the works for years. This seems like it was an overnight thing. And for Shari, I mean, I know she's been kind of thinking about the decision for a long time too, but this channel that we're going to be moving to has literally been in the works for years. So this is going to be the name of the channel, Restoring Meaning. So a few years ago, I came up with the name, and I asked my daughter to make me a title screen, and this is what she came up with at the time. So my brother was like, well, it looks a little like feminine. It looks a little bit like a girl made it. I was like, well, duh, my daughter made it. Of course it does. And he's like, well, do you want her to like masculine it up a little bit? I'm like, no, I asked her to make it. So this is something she made. It was and my original intent, and I still plan on doing this. You know, we've been sharing about the etymology of words. My original intent, what I wanted to do years ago, and I have the blessing from my priest, was to go through, like, find words and then go through how they have changed, how the definitions have grown or changed over time. And I have a really beautiful dictionary collection now going. You know, I've got the full Oxford Dictionary. I've got Samuel Johnson's dictionary, which was basically, you know, like the first English dictionary. And I have an 18, like there's the Webster's 1830 edition. There's the 1913 online, but then I also have a 1930s version of the unabridged dictionary. It's like this thick. You know, I have the third edition of the Webster's from 1963, which is when they fundamentally transformed the goal of dictionaries. So anyway, I'll do one video just on dictionaries, but I want to go through words and do word studies. So like the word fear, I remember I mentioned that on this channel a couple of episodes ago, about how fear has gone from an apprehension of evil to apprehension of pain, which is a significant change that I think is rooted in kind of Enlightenment thinking taking over. But there's also, you know, like the mediator, the faith, the word, you know. Anyway, I have a whole list. Wrath is another really interesting word. You know, we associate wrath with anger, but it originally did not mean that. Like, wrath of God meant like the effect of God on something was God's wrath. So you know, you can think of like the scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark where they open the ark and they're all like melted. That's the wrath of God, but it's not because God is angry. It's because they're unholy in the presence of holiness, right? So it's like God is a devouring fire, right? He's a devouring flame. So that's the meaning of the
Mhm.
wrath of God. It has nothing to do with like the passion of anger. So anyway, so I want to do word studies. That was the original plan, but because restoring meaning, carries more than one meaning, I think it just works really great for what we're working on here, which is
And I'm a
restoring
girl.
meaning to
I'm
our
and
lives.
I'm a
And you're a
girl.
girl, yeah, so we can have a nice feminine title screen, and there's no problem.
Who would have known?
Yeah, like I said, she made this for me. Let me look at how long ago she did. She made this for me in 2021. So I've had this title screen in my email for 4 years. And my very patient daughter she gave it to me, and then she never asked about it again. She was just like, "Here you go, Dad." Oh, thank you. And then, it took me this long to get my act together. So yeah, Don, you're right. Nathan Jacobs was talking about definitions in his videos on the penal substitutionary atonement. So yeah, agreed. He also talked about wrath, and I had run into that one before, but he reminded me to add that to my list, so of words to review. So anyway, yeah, I kind of like those deep dives on words and etymology and how they're related. Like one of the biggest mind blowers I ever had was so paternal and maternal, right? So we have paternal, which is father, paternity, but in Greek, and then you have maternal, which is related to the mother. Well, in Greek, paternal comes from pattern, which comes from pater, which is the word for father. And then, so you have pattern, which is the masculine, and then mother comes from matter, maternal comes from mother, and the word for mother is matter. So you have the stuff, the potential, you have the stuff and you have the pattern, right? It's like the recipe and the ingredients come together and you make bread, right? I mean, it's like built into their language, how those are related. And for us, for me, like hearing heaven and earth are the masculine and feminine, it never really clicked with me when I was younger, and even when I was into Taoism, until I heard kind of Jonathan talking about it. But in Greek, it's just like built into their language. It's just like obvious to them.
Yep.
So anyway, that's the channel, Restoring Meaning. I saw that we've already got quite a few subscribers. I'm excited about that, and we're excited to bring you along for the journey and share what we find as we walk along. I've collected some gems along the way, but I'm sure we'll have many more things to share. And Shari has open free reign on the channel to do whatever she wants to do. This is a shared project, and I have the legal liability for it, but she's got clear domain on whatever she wants to do, like whatever books you want to read, or if you want to have live streams and you invite people in, whatever you want to do. Even if I can't be a part of it, of course you're welcome to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I'll pull up a link so we can share it.
Yeah, that'd be good. I mean, if you go back on to Girl Country and just look at the various projects that I did there, I think you're safe, Jeremy. I don't think I'm going to hurt your reputation, get you.
I don't have one, so it's fine.
Right.
My boss already knows I'm crazy, so that's fine too. Like, trust me, he knows that I'm a liminal character, so it's no problem.
Yeah.
I agreed, Cassandra. Language is powerful. It is magic spells. It's how you speak something into existence, right? It's like how God created the earth.
Well, we learned from the Heliand that gospel is God's spell.
There you go.
That's very cool.
So did that link come through in the comments? That's the channel. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
There it is. Yeah.
So come join us. It'll be a fun. Yeah. Yeah, well, Don, let's put it this way. I don't get invited to very many company meetings anymore, thankfully. Thankfully for everyone. They don't invite me. It's like, this guy's crazy. Like, why did we invite him? So I have a couple of people who are kind of my mouthpieces. Like I'm not holy like Moses, but I am a character who wanders in the wilderness and sees crazy things. And luckily I have a couple of people who are much better at politics who translate my visions for the king so that the king doesn't kill me. So I mean I'm not even like joking. Just how it is.
Jeremy, I can't help but think about me laying in my bed at my daughter's place in Switzerland. And here's the deal. It was the narrowest single bed I've ever slept on in my life. And it was just so, I felt like kind of like a corpse in a coffin, because if I
Oh yeah.
moved either side, I was falling off the bed, And I remember just staring at the ceiling going, it's, and it's like, you should do a series on the lives of the saints. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, who should I do it with? Jeremy. And I'm like, Jeremy? I don't even know Jeremy.
Yeah, we didn't even know each
and
other at all.
Not really. And
Yeah.
then so I reached out, and now we're launching into this. This is the thing about the journey that we are on as followers of Christ. It's just so exciting to me.
Mm.
It's just, it is. It's, and and now you're adding a little spice to it by telling us about your daughter and her having made this wonderful logo, and your desire to do something with your channel, but it just sat there waiting for
Yeah.
this moment. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just crazy to me. It's just crazy. I love it.
Yeah, no, it makes me very happy and excited. I have a photo, another photo that is kind of my another thematic photo that will kind of be the spirit of what I want to kind of share with everyone.
Okay, cool.
Let's see. I think I've shared it with you, Shari. I don't know if I've shared it in the with everyone.
Oh, this one. Yeah.
Did I share this with everyone? Have I told the story, or did I just tell you?
No, but tell it again. There's maybe people haven't seen it.
So there's a house nearby, and it's a very old couple who live there, and they have got a bit of a hoard around their house. There's old broken down vehicles, and it was a remnant. It was like a 1 acre. It's like a 1 acre lot, and they had a large garden. They took care of it for the first few years I lived here, and then the last couple of years they don't anymore. It's just become too much for them, clearly. But this is the orchard behind their home. There's an orchard, and there are apricot trees that you can't see here, and then all of these tulips. And this is right around Easter. We get late bloomers here because of the weather, but this is a pet cemetery, and it originally started with just their children's pets, and then their children's friends wanted to bury their animals too, and so then they would let the kids come, and as you can see, there's hundreds. There are hundreds of pets buried here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such a beautiful place to me.
Amazing.
It feels very sacred. Where this couple gave a place of honor and respect and planted the flowers, and it's just beautiful. And in the springtime, I actually like just a few blossoms just starting to bloom, right? Like,
Yeah, it's
I actually
amazing.
like that most of them are not
Yeah.
bloomed yet. This is just one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. So anyway, this is kind of the restoring meaning, right? It's about as close as I can get to explaining what I have in mind. for the project. That right there.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you. I know that you know what you mean, but what about this picture says restoring meaning?
Say that again. You cut out.
What about this
Hello?
picture?
I lost your
Can you
audio,
hear me?
Shari.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's try it without that in the. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you
We lost Shari. Now we
I'm
lost
gonna-
our picture.
Can you?
I'm not sure what happened. We may have lost Shari.
Hmm?
Oh, you can hear. I can't hear. No, I cannot. Okay. I'll leave and come back. I'll
Cassandra
leave and
can.
come right back because I cannot hear Shari. Oh, maybe it was my audio. Hold on. I'll check my audio settings before I go. Oh, I know. Okay. Test.
Okay, thanks, Lance.
No.
I'm just like, what
Nope.
is
Do not hear. Oh, shoot.
happening?
Okay. I'll be right back.
This is, yeah, okay. I must have written that in Gaelic. Can you hear me? Oh, did I tell you guys? I said it at the very beginning, but I'm getting Starlink and I can hardly wait. I'm so tired of this terrible internet. So, all right, Jeremy.
There we go. Now I can hear you again. Yay. All right.
Wonderful.
You know what happened. Okay. You were going to ask me a question, or you were saying something about I had shared the picture of the pet cemetery.
Cassandra, she says, when the robots take over, will they be able to hear each other?
I don't know. That's actually an interesting question. Wow. That's a consciousness question. There's a
Okay,
whole lot
so
wrapped
this
up in
was
the
my question. Jeremy, I have a leg, I guess. But here's my question. What about that picture says restoring meaning to you?
So, I had already started attending an Orthodox church a few years ago but it was very early on. I was not even, I think I was barely a catechumen. I mean, literally, like, I think in the same week that I was made a catechumen, my father passed. And he and I were quite close. And, I had been an atheist, not only an atheist, but anti-theist. I was a very angry person, and I felt like I had been tricked and swindled. And was trying to help other people not get tricked like I had been. And then, I had a lot of life situations that led me to reinvestigate those assumptions. And, the encounters with Jordan Peterson's lectures on the Bible, and then encounters with Jonathan Pajot, and those things were working on me. And I felt like I was going a little crazy because I was losing my scientific worldview. And anyway, I decided to go to church, and had just started going, and and they had actually just closed church down for COVID. So it was right during COVID, when everyone is kind of facing their mortality and their existential dread. And I think a lot of people reacted with the deep anxiety and terror that they projected onto everyone else, especially those of us who weren't wearing masks. And I think a lot of it was a huge transformation for me, where I was moving, and I'll share the photo again because I think it goes well with the story, where this to me is a transfer. So this is the love of children for their pets. And this orchard has been transformed into a pet cemetery, which is it's an expression of love for the innocent attachment that children have to their pets. And it's also a monument, and it's filled with crosses, and it's filled with tulips, and they're just beginning to bloom. And to me,
Right.
the meaning of life is being restored. The death is those pets are part of those tulips now. Right. In a
And
very physical way. What's that?
And the apricot trees.
And the apricot trees. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Those apricot trees are bearing the fruit of the love of those children.
Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me, as someone who lived a significant part of my life as a husband and a father and a nihilist, which I have tasted hell, and that's what it tastes like.
Yeah.
To have all of that redeemed and transformed by my encounter with Christ, and to feel a flower grow in my heart and to begin to bloom is what I want to do my best to try to share with anyone who will listen.
Right. Yeah.
And even I even tried to share it with a lot of people who don't want to listen. Forgive me, Lord. In my pride, I get excited. And instead it's better, it's better to just be the fragrance of the flower, right? And that's what I'm focusing on. I'm trying to just become a flower and let the fragrance of my life radiate out and affect the people around me. But I'm still prideful and anxious, and I like to talk. So God still works with me.
Yeah. I think I have a bit of a lag, but what also comes to my, like, immediately when I saw this, what comes to me is that there are lots of things blooming, and there are lots of crosses, and those things are together, right?
Yes.
So the blossoms, the flowers, and the crosses, they live together in this photo.
Yes.
Which is a very good depiction of our lives, right?
Yep.
We have moments where things bloom and things grow, and then we suffer many deaths, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, I was made a catechumen, and my father passed in the same week.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
It's pretty poignant, Looking back, it's like, oof, wow. So,
really.
Anyway, that's kind of what's been percolating in the back for quite a while. Yeah. So, I hope we can share some of the beauty and some of the joy that we've found with anyone who wants to come along for the ride.
Well, I mean, when you tell that story, it's daunting, right, to anybody listening, because it requires what we talked about here, those great sorrows,
Yeah.
And but here's the deal: when you look at the picture, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and so I have a picture here too that I will share of the spirit that I'm leaning against. I think would be the best way to put it. Hold on, let me pull it up. Okay. So this is the spirit. So there's a part of, well, I'll share the picture first.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a part of me that sees there's a taming here. There's a beauty here in that, someone did a lot of math to do this. This is not easy. I've done smaller scales of this, and there's a lot of math here. There's a lot of, there's order. Look at it. There is a certain beauty of its own here, but to me, this is the beauty of the machine. Right. This is the beauty of this is the too rational. This is the too ordered. This is, and all of these are gas meters, in case you don't know. This is an apartment building.
Yeah.
And they have a gas meter for every separate apartment. And so this is all about measuring as well. Right. This is measuring and counting.
And transaction.
And division and too much order. It's all, everything is 90-degree angles. Everything is right angles. This is honestly, this is what it's like to live in Utah. Utah, all the roads are grids. Right. There's too much of this. And this is how I lived my life, most of my life. This is my brain. Until I became Orthodox and began to be healed. This is how I looked at the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's wonderful to have the images to contrast. That's really great.
Yeah. Thank you. That became this. This is what's restored. Even the colors are symbolic compared, the others were gray.
Not very.
Right. So.
Yeah. Anyway. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Now I'm saying too much about it.
That's fantastic.
But that's what we're pointing at.
It's just fantastic. Well, I look forward to the new launch, and I was hoping to be able to maybe I can do it after. I was going to edit. I will do it after. I can do that. In the description, I will leave the link to the new channel so that people can go there and click on it. So in the description of this, yes, the official trailer for the new channel.
I'll make one. I'll make one. I will. I will. I have a busy weekend, but I'll see what I can do. I'll work on it. I hope maybe I can. Okay, I'll try. I'll do my best. I have a busy weekend planned. We're traveling to Colorado to visit family, but hopefully we can get it.
Well, you can always put it off till the following week.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will work on that. So it'll be fun.
No pressure. Good night, Lance. And,
good night, Lance. Thanks for coming by, and thanks for your kind words. He reached out and sent some very supportive texts, so I appreciate that, Lance. Thank you.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'm going to call it because I thought my internet might just. I actually threw up a few prayers here. Well.
Good. But glory to God. What other hope do we have?
Right. But anyways, it is what it is. So hopefully next week I've got my Starlink going, and we will see all of you, I hope, at the new channel. And I'll be dropping links in, the various Discords, and I will edit a link into this video because I didn't do it at the beginning. And thanks for joining us here, and thank you to Grail Country for hosting us here for so long and being so kind and generous to us. And I look forward to what the future holds, Jeremy.
I feel the same. May it be blessed.
Yes, may it be blessed. Good night, everybody.
Thanks a lot. See ya.